Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am grateful we're here. You know, it's interesting that the last four lines the uh, of the prayer that I say every episode, which is what is to be said is said, what is to be heard is heard, what is to be released is released, and what is to be embraced is embraced. And in this particular prayer this morning, my attention fell on those words, especially what is to be embraced is embraced. And what is to be embraced? What is to be embraced by you and me? I think when I first had those words fall on my heart, I thought whatever is to be embraced would be like deeply welcomed by me. Like when I hug someone, like I'm wanting to hug them. I'm a full in yes. And yet, as we heal from a sense of division from our well-being, as we heal from a sense of separation from our own happiness, we're often invited to embrace what we don't want to embrace, what we're resisting, what we're avoiding. So to embrace grief, perhaps to embrace a sense of loss, to embrace, even to embrace fear, to bring the fear, the doubt, the worry into the loving. And I used to think that, well, if I embrace fear, doubt, worry, grief, loss, isn't that everything I'm trying to get away from, right? If I do that, won't I get more of that? Won't I have more fear, more loss, more grief, more of what I don't want? And this is the amazing paradox of spiritual reality, of truth, which is our true nature, your true nature, my true nature is love. I don't take myself to be love 24 hours, 7 days a week. Maybe you don't either. But my actual true nature is love. That's our true nature. We could say light. I am, you are, we are, in reality, an inextinguishable light. And that light is completely inclusive and non-resistant. So when I welcome my grief into the light of my own being, I welcome my hurt into the light of my own nature, my disappointment, my sense of loss, then alchemy can happen. That loss and grief gets processed, and it's like when I say processed, it gets transformed. I could even say it gets healed. We think the problem is the grief, the loss, the disappointment, the worry, the dread, the fear. But the pain we experience is less those, whatever I want to call them, those experiences. And our real pain is our resistance to them. I've had on occasion, I wonder if you have too, I've experienced, sadness and grief and a sense of loss in a completely non-resistant way. And it's so beautiful. I don't know why I resist it still at times, right? Well, I do know why I resist my grief, my sense of loss, disappointment still. It's because I'm believing what my mind is telling me about them, right? I'm believing, no, don't go there. And yet the love that you are, the light that you are, that I am, is completely welcoming. So it's relaxing with whatever is, to embrace that which is to be embraced. And when I embrace that which is to be embraced, one of the things I experience right off the bat for me is I start to feel much more adult. I feel, I want to call it like an emotional sobriety. I mentioned in the episode last week a book I'm reading right now by Rupert Spira, The Heart of Prayer. It's getting stained, my cover, my tea. I read these books drinking tea and eating chocolate. And like I look down, chocolate's on the book, So I don't know how sober I am in truth, but I did want to read this little passage that I just read this morning. It's on page 91 of this book. And it begins with a Rumi quote, a quote from Rumi. Rumi said, "Be like melting snow. Wash yourself of yourself. This self-emptying, self-forgetting is the highest form of devotion. It is the practice of the presence of God. It is the place at which our longing for happiness turns into our love of simply being, our love of God. If there is the slightest feeling of boredom, irritation, or lack in meditation or prayer, it is because we have left the eternal now and followed thought into past or future. Therein lies our sorrow. We think our sorrow exists in the now and that we escape from it into past and future. But the opposite is true. Our sorrow exists only in reference to the past and future. It cannot stand in the now. Make the now your refuge. It is the place of peace."